What's going on? Welcome back for another video. Let's talk about why I don't prefer most of my amateur clients to be across the line at the top of the backswing. Even though we see tour players, we see good players do end up, some of them being across the line at the top of the backswing. So classifying top of the backswing, being across the line at the top of the backswing, it's somewhere like this, okay? If you draw, let's just say you think of it as a clock, right? As a right-handed golfer at the top, if straight down the line is 12 o'clock, straight down the line this way or this way, if you're going towards 1 o'clock where the club's pointing towards the right side or pointing in front of you, that's more across the line. If you're pointing more back, behind you, pointing more towards 11 o'clock, that's more of a laid off look, okay? So at the top, you're either across the line or probably either laid off. Not many people are bang on down the line. My preference is to be somewhat just slightly laid off or have the club point slightly back, okay? Not many of my clients will be straight down the line. Most of them will be slightly back because if they were to extend their swings too parallel, then they will probably be straight down the line. But because most of them short of parallel, they will be slightly pointing more back. So why I don't prefer across the line for most players, okay? A lot of times when people are across the line, they do it because they hinge too much, the lead wrist is cupped. Across the line, open face means you have to undo the cross the line, which means the club has to shallow that much more to get back into a good spot. And two, you're gonna go from cupped to flat in a very short amount of time because the downswing happens very, very fast. Most amateur golfers cannot sustain that kind of transition and make it in a predictable fashion, okay? You're pretty much going from that, and it's very, very tough to do. You can see it's very chaotic. You have to go from being across the line back to being in a decent spot behind you. You have to go from cupped face or cupped lead wrist, which often makes the club face too open. You gotta go from cupped to flat to make the face more square. It's too many things going on. And last but not least, you better be rotating the hell of a swing to have a chance of sustaining that. If you're someone who doesn't rotate very well in the downswing, which is again most amateur golfers who are very square-ish in impact, you're pretty much trying to go from here to there with all of your arms. And it's also very, very tough to do, okay? So I don't recommend that. What I do recommend most players do is to be somewhat laid off. Okay, again, laid off with the luck. You're not actually laid off because you're short of parallel. Because we're just short of parallel because our arm swing stops in front of the torso, we maintain the width, lead wrist is flat, trail wrist bent. All those things typically will result in the club face being pretty much around square at the top of the backswing. If the face is square at the top of the backswing, it's going to increase your likelihood of the club face returning to square at impact. If the club head is slightly behind us at the top of the backswing, it increases our chances of keeping it behind us in the downswing, so the club shallows, so the club comes slightly from the inside, so we can rotate through the ball. Even though most amateur players don't rotate very well, don't rotate very much into the ball, even if you're armsy, being from this spot and using your arms to get back to the ball will still be a much higher chance of hitting a good shot than being this way and using your arms to get back to the ball. So when you do that, it's just trying to increase our likelihood of hitting a good shot. Okay? As an amateur golfer, you may practice once a week, you may play once or twice a week. We want to remove as many variables as we can, okay? You being across the line and being across the line and cup is two variables too many. We want to remove variables. So if good impact position is lead wrist flat, club face roughly square, if we could just mimic that at the top of the backswing, lead wrist flat, club face roughly square, regardless whether or not we rotate well through the ball or not, where I use just my arms, but still from a good spot, I use just my arms, I'm still increasing my chances of hitting a pretty decent shot. So that's why I will promote most of my players, most of my clients, and even encourage a lot of you guys watching to make sure at the top of the backswing, you're somewhat laid off of a look. Do not be across the line, okay? I work with a lot of online clients. For the first time, they may say, oh, like I see this player, that player, they're across the line, they hit it very well. That works really well for them, but most likely for you, it's not going to work very well. So I definitely suggest most of you guys guys, if you're across the line and you're struggling, to maybe try to work towards being less across the line, more kind of a laid off look, by lead wrist flat, right wrist bends and club points more back, with your arm unit more in front of your torso. That way, we're increasing the likelihood for success. So, hope that helps, hope that makes sense. Don't be across the line if you're struggling with your ball striking. Try to work towards more of a laid off look with the lead wrist flat, trail wrist band, club face roughly square, and pointing back of us. Okay, guys? So, hope that helps. Any questions, leave in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, guys.